Hello, this is Jason Robinson from Illustration by Design, and starting another drawing live stream after a couple days of being absent of the YouTubes. And today I'm going to be drawing Tom Holland, the actor who stars as the MCU Spider-Man in the movies. So some of you may have heard, if not most of you, that the rights to Spider-Man have reverted from Marvel back to Sony, who has been loaning him out to Marvel the past few years. So I guess either Tom Holland will no longer be Spider-Man, or hold on. Or he'll be Spider-Man for Sony Pictures from now on, and they're gonna, I guess, somehow continue his adventures as Spider-Man. I don't know if they're gonna get a new cast, or I have no idea. So all this stuff is sort of up in the air. But anyway, I figured I would draw him since he's sort of in the news right now, and yeah, that's basically why. As some of you may know, I never really liked the MCU version of Spider-Man. I thought it was a surprisingly poor version of the character, considering that Marvel created Spider-Man, and he's probably their most famous character. Even though they sold the rights to him in terms of making movies to Sony back in the 90s, when I guess Marvel needed money. So all the Spider-Man movies up until I think around 2015 were made by Sony Pictures, and then they came up with a deal with Marvel where they would loan Spider-Man out for a few movies, and in return Marvel would do stuff for them. I'm not sure exactly what the deal was, but hey, Sean Davis is here. How you doing? Good to see you back. But I guess that deal has ended now. Again, from what I know, very roughly, it has to do with money. I guess Marvel wanted a bigger stake in the character, and Sony didn't agree with them. So, the rights have reverted back to Sony. I'm not exactly sure. It's inter-studio bickering, so that's not my concern. but I will admit I'm glad that the rights are going back to Sony after seeing what the MCU has done with Spider-Man over the past 3 years. I've been really disappointed and annoyed by what I've seen from Marvel. So yeah, I don't know. When the MCU Spider-Man makes you long for the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, that's not a good thing in my mind. So, but anyway, let me try to find a good picture of Tom Holland to draw from. I gotta go through my tablet and see if I can pick something out. Anyway, what did you guys think of Tom Holland and Spider-Man? Did you guys like him? I have nothing against Tom Holland, the actor. I think he's a fine actor, but the writing and the directing of his Peter Parker, and also his whole cast of characters was terrible. It really let me down. Yeah, Iron Boy, says Sean Davis. Basically, it was. I was gonna make another video called Top 10 Lit. It was Top 5 Reasons Why the MCU Spider-Man Stunk. I might still do that, but it seems making prepared videos seems to take a lot of time compared to just live streaming for me. So hey, Tiana DIY is here. Good seeing you again. How you doing? But yeah, I had top 5 reasons why the MCU Spider-Man stunk. I might make that video, but I don't know. It just seems to take a lot of time to do stuff like that. Let's see, Tom Holland. Yeah, I think my number one reason why oh, she says she's been really busy lately. Okay, well, I hope things are going well for you. Hope you're doing okay. I think my number one reason why I did not like the Tom Holland or rather the MCU Spider-Man, why I didn't like him was because they they completely sidelined Uncle Ben and what he meant to Peter Parker, and that, to me, that's a major part of who Spider-Man is. I mean, they didn't even mention Uncle Ben in the MCU at any time, so he might as well not even existed. I mean, you don't know that his uncle died. You don't know that Aunt May's a widow. You don't know any of that because the only person that Peter Parker looked up to in the MCU was Tony Stark, and they completely replaced Ben Parker as Tom Holland's father figure with Tony Stark. So with Tony Stark dead now, is there really a reason for the MCU Spider-Man to exist? I don't think so, because he was completely dependent on Stark for everything, for his costumes, for his gadgets, for his inspiration. So they might as well just kill him off or get rid of him and give him back to Sony. Alpha Proto says, I think this was Sony's plan all along. Tiana DIY says, I just checked the description and noticed the phone holder you're using. Is it any good? The phone holder. Oh, yeah, this thing. Yeah, this thing. Yes, it's very good, actually. I bought it a year ago, and it's never given me any problems. It works really well. It's screwed on to my drawing table here, and it works perfectly. When I shake the table, I mean, it shakes a little, but it shakes with the table. So as my table shakes, it sort of falls along with it. So it's not like this, which is me sort of like taking the arm and moving it manually. If you just like nudge the table, like I just did, or even hit the table, it barely moves. So it's really good. Tiana DIY says, awesome, you can do many different angles. Yeah, I mean, you can turn the phone like this, like I'm doing here, like that. Here I'm rotated at 360 degrees or whatever. You just rotate it, do whatever you want. You can rotate this way, this way, this way, this way, whatever, And this is all without actually moving the arm. This is just swiveling it in that sort of carrier that the phone is attached to, which is attached to the arm. So there's kind of two different parts. There's the actual. Oh, sorry about that. Alpha Pro says I'm getting dizzy. Yeah, sorry. But no, it's a great stabilizing arm, and I was looking for months. I was trying to figure out how YouTubers sort of drew and recorded themselves at the same time, and I finally just asked Ethan Van Sciver because he uses this stuff all the time, and I just texted him and said, how do you draw and have your phone sort of film you drawing? And he's told me, just get this sort of flexible arm and you just screw it onto your table that you're drawing on, and bam, it works, and it does. So thanks, Ethan. And I just recommend anyone who wants to do this sort of stuff, just get this arm. It's in the description of this video, actually all my videos, and it sort of gives a breakdown of what I use to do this stuff. So, yeah. But yeah, the sort of the dismissing of Uncle Ben really kind of annoyed me with the MCU Spider-Man. So, and it kind of all went downhill from there. Let's see, how do I find a good? Okay, I got images here, but how do I find a good picture? Okay. Tiana says, sorry for making you go on a tangent. That's fine. Don't worry about it. My whole sort of my whole life is one big tangent. Whenever I try talking about anything, I'm easily distracted. So don't worry about it. If you hadn't done it, I would have done it myself. It's not hard for me to lose track of what's going on and what I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah, yeah. Sean Davis says, I guess Happy Hogan's the new Uncle Ben. Yeah, I kind of doubt that, since at the end of spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen Far From Home. At the end of Far From Home, Aunt May pretty much dumped him. So she just used Happy for what, I guess the sex. Tom Holland is still under contract for 2 more movies. So even if they, I can't quite read this because they're icons in a way. Oh, even if they can't mention the MCU, they can still use him as Peter Parker. Yeah, I understand that, but my question is, would they want to? Because again, part of the reason why I think the MCU versus Spider-Man stunk was his supporting cast. The supporting cast for the MCU Spider-Man was completely unrecognizable from the characters in the comics. Aunt May, instead of being an old lady, is a hot young woman. Well, relatively young. She's, what, 50, maybe? Late 40s? And Mary Jane is not Mary Jane. She's called Michelle Jones, even though she has the same initials, MJ. But now, instead of being a hot redhead, she's now sort of a slovenly, dirty-looking, social activist who's sarcastic and snarky and doesn't like anyone or anything, and who hates life and is basically miserable. Flash Thompson, instead of being a school tough bully who's into sports, is now a nerd like Peter Parker, who is just, I guess, rich, and that's why he can bully Peter. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, all the characters, they brought the names of the characters from the comics, but their personalities and their physical appearance is nothing like the characters. So why would Sony want to copy that? It's one of the reasons why I kind of didn't like the MCU Spider-Man. It wasn't recognizable as the Spider-Man that we all grew up and grew to love. Tiana says, haha, dirty looking. Well, she is. I mean, they gave, I mean, what's her, Zendaya is the actress who plays the MCU MJ, the Michelle Jones. And Zendaya is objectively hot. I mean, she's a beautiful woman. But in the MCU, they dirty her up. They give her like greasy, unkempt, nasty hair, and they have her with a perpetual scowl on her face, and wearing frumpy clothes, constantly talking about how everything in life is awful. So why would anyone want to see that? It's just annoying. Elliot MacArthur says, "What's your opinion on the Amazing Spider-Man? Are you talking about the Andrew Garfield version? I didn't. Okay, I guess I'm of 2 minds with the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man. Again, like Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield's a great actor, a very good actor. But I didn't like his. I loved his Spider-Man. I did not like his Peter Parker. I guess that's the best way to put it. I thought his Spider-Man, especially in Amazing Spider-Man 2, was dead on. The look, the behavior, the way he interacted with criminals was spot on from the way Spider-Man acts in the comics. But his Peter Parker was pretty different, and it didn't blow me over. I liked it better than the MCU's version of Peter Parker, but I don't think it was as good as what's his name? Tobey Maguire's version. The one benefit that Andrew Garfield had as Peter Parker over Tobey Maguire is that he actually designed his web shooters, whereas Tobey Maguire's web shooters were organic. But I don't know. I thought they had Peter Parker riding a skateboard and stuff, and doing kind of cool stuff that Peter Parker wouldn't really be doing before he got spider powers. And they had Andrew Garfield's version doing that stuff, and I didn't really go for that. But But the movies in general for Amazing Spider-Man, they were okay. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot I didn't like about them. The only thing I really did like was the way Spider-Man looked in Amazing Spider-Man 2. I thought that was really well done. So, uh, give me a second here. I gotta find a picture of Tom to draw, and right now I don't seem to have the same options on my tablet for Google that I do on my computer. So I'm gonna be right back. So hold on. Sean Davis says, "Shh, Hollywood hates redheads. YouTube will get you." Well, they'll probably get me anyway. So. gosh, this is hard as heck. Ah. Man, I had no idea this would be so hard to find a good picture of frickin' Tom Holland. It's like painful. I mean, plenty of pictures of him, but I mean, I just want to find a good picture of him where, one, he doesn't have that same kind of blah look on his face that he seems to have in 90% of these photos, and also there's a fairly decent shadows on his face. I mean, he's so flatly lit that it's hard to find any pictures where there's some sort of dramatic shadows or interesting shadows on his face. I'll just use this one. This one just seems to be. This will do. All right. Oh, okay. I'll use this one. Frustrating. Oy. That's on. All right. Got some water. That's good. Boy. Okie doke. Now I can finally start drawing. Let's see. That okay? That's all right. That's good enough. So, what do you guys think about the whole MCU Sony thing? Are you excited about it? Mad about it? Blasé about it? You just don't care? I guess I put myself in the happy about it column, because I can't really see Sony doing any worse than Marvel has done over the past 3 years. I mean, the Marvel has the best Marvel treated Spider-Man was in Civil War. And, well, I guess, yeah, Civil War, and I guess Infinity War and Endgame. The movies where Spider-Man wasn't the main character, which is a sad thing to say. That the movies where Spider-Man was the main character in Spider-Man's own movies, he pretty much stunk. But in the movies where he just sort of had cameos, that's when the MCU did the best job with the character. So, which doesn't say much for Marvel's ability to to properly treat their own characters. At least at this point. I mean, I think that Marvel has changed over the past decade. Where at the beginning, before they were, the multi-gazillion-dollar success they are now, Marvel Studios, they're willing to take chances, and I mean, when I say chances, not really chances, but they're willing to be faithful to the source material, their own source material, and treating these characters with respect. And as they became more successful, they felt more free to take liberties with the characters and treat them in ways the characters were never meant to be treated. Like with Thor Ragnarok, I mean, it basically turned Thor into a joke, and in Avengers Endgame, they just completely tossed him in the crapper and made him into a fat slob and a frickin' Fortnite gamer who argues with 12-year-olds on the internet. So that's not Thor. So I think Marvel has in many ways become a victim of his own success. By the time they got Spider-Man, they were no longer interested in being faithful to the character, and they just wanted to. I have no idea what they wanted to do. It was just ended up a mess. I mean, they didn't even give him spider sense in the first Spider-Man movie. So he was getting sideswiped and slapped around every 15 minutes. I mean, he couldn't even tell that his chubby best friend was in his bedroom when he came in the middle of the night. It's just kind of pathetic. So. And I apologize if you guys are saying stuff and I'm not answering. I'm just looking at the reference right now, so I can't really see the chat. But I will be back in. If anyone's still here, I don't know. May have all left. But yeah, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Most of my channel is just me drawing, like this. And I do speed drawings. I do live stream drawings like this. And please give the video a thumbs up. I greatly appreciate it. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I mean, whether they're about Spider-Man or stuff like this goofy arm that I'm using to hold my camera, my phone. ERT says no chat interaction. Say it ain't so. Yeah, well, it's just hard for me to interact with the chat when I can't see what they're saying. I guess I can look up and look at my phone, but I can't. It's hard. It's very awkward. So I'd rather. It's easier for me just to sort of go back and forth between screens on my one tablet with my between Google and YouTube. This pencil's much better. Before I was using I know the lead said HB, but I could tell, like this really crummy drawing of Steven Seagal right here. I did with a previous lead. This one's a new lead, and I can already tell that the graphite is darker as opposed to the old lead, so it's much better. I don't have to press as hard. Much easier to draw with. And here is the fun part, the proportions. The proportions on the character. Fun, fun, fun. See if I can do it without screwing it up from the start. I probably already did it. That's fine. That's okay. Hey, some guy in here, random crazy guy 888, is cursing up a storm. No cursing, random crazy guy. I guess your name's appropriate. But yeah, no cursing, please. Or I shall have to time you out. If you can say stuff without cursing, please do. Hey, Nighthawk's here. How you doing, Nighthawk? Good seeing you. Nighthawk Warrior. Elliot MacArthur says, I'm kind of happy because I didn't like the way they portrayed Spider-Man in the MCU. Yeah, I kind of felt the same way. Between the expressed lack of Uncle Ben and the completely unrecognizable supporting characters, and Spider-Man's complete lack of spider sense in Spider-Man Homecoming, it kind of, the whole Spider-Man MCU thing kind of fell flat for me. Evan Voss Garber says, cursing is bad. Yes, cursing is bad. Don't curse. Nighthawk Warrior says, I want everyone to stop talking to me about Spider-Man in the MCU. MCU Spider-Man is the best. Why do you, okay, give me your top 5 reasons why MCU Spider-Man is the best. Nighthawk Warrior. Now, Nighthawk Warrior. Well, first of all, I guess my question should be, how old are you? Because I think it's like sort of like James Bond, where depending on how old you are, that directly influences which version of Spider-Man or James Bond you like more. Like I grew up with the what was his name? Roger Moore, James Bond. And so my favorite James Bond is kind of Roger Moore, or it was most of my life. But instinctively, I kind of gravitated towards him just because he was the one I saw in the theaters all the time. But looking back, he wasn't the best one, but he was the one I grew up with, so that's the one I loved. So what are your 5 reasons why you think the MCU Spider-Man was the best? I am curious. I'm not trying to be mean or trying to dish you or anything. I'm actually I want to know, because I know my reasons why I don't like that version, but I am curious as to why you or other people may like them. Okay, Nighthawk Warrior's 19. Okay, so you kind of grew up with him with well, I guess between Tom Holland and what's his face, and Andrew Garfield. Yeah. ERT says, I actually like Tom Holland as Spider-Man. I like Tom Holland, but I don't like his version of Spider-Man. Yeah, I don't like his version of Spider-Man because I think he's poorly written. He doesn't act like Peter Parker. He doesn't act. I mean, his cast is nothing like the cast in the comics, and the whole reason why he's Spider-Man is completely different from the reason why Spider-Man in the comics. So, I mean, if you take out major elements of the character, to my mind, he's no longer Spider-Man. I mean, if you take out Uncle Ben, is he still Spider-Man? If his reason for fighting crime is no longer to sort of live up to the standards that Uncle Ben taught him, but is simply to make Tony Stark proud and to become an Avenger, if those are the main reasons why he's Spider-Man, that's not Peter Parker. If he's not making his own gadgets and doing and he's not a genius in his own right, but instead is dependent on Tony Stark for all of his stuff, that's not Spider-Man. if Flash Thompson is now a skinny, Indian nerd, that's not Flash Thompson. If MJ is not Mary Jane Watson, a hot redhead, but instead is Michelle Jones, a grubby-looking, sarcastic social justice warrior, that's not MJ. So you take all these elements together, is that Spider-Man anymore? I mean, to my mind, if you have all those weird elements that have no association with the actual Spider-Man in the comics, the source material, to me that's a pretty bad version of Spider-Man. Nighthawk Warrior says, my reason is because he's really funny as Spider-Man, and Peter Parker is a total nerd, is shy around MJ. Okay, I understand that, but I understand that. I got you. ERT says, I think he has a build and useful look for it. That's fine, but every actor from the age of 22 and under has that same look, generally. There are 5 guys who had that same look who are also in the running to place the MCU Spider-Man. Tom Holland got it, but all 5 of them sort of met those same criteria. That doesn't make any of them a good Spider-Man necessarily. Again, to my mind, for me, it has nothing to do with Tom Holland himself. He's a fine actor. It's the way the character's been written. It's like George Clooney as Batman. I thought George Clooney would have made a great Batman, but he had really crummy writers and a really crummy director making him do stuff as the character that Batman would never do outside of the Adam West Batman. So that's why George Clooney was a poor Batman. It's not because George Clooney is a bad actor or because he doesn't look like Batman. It's because the writers and directors had him doing things that Batman shouldn't be doing. And it's the same thing with the MCU Spider-Man. I mean, the writers and directors I'm mainly talking about the standalone Spider-Man movies, Home Alone and Far From Home. They have the character and his supporting cast doing things that are too far away from the source material, and that makes them bad versions of the characters as opposed to previous versions. Does that make sense? Nighthawk Warrior says he actually does make his own costumes in the newest movie, aka Far From Home, even his new gadgets. Actually, he does. No, he doesn't. He uses Stark's technology to make that stuff. He doesn't do it himself. In the comic books, Peter Parker almost never uses Tony Stark's stuff. I think the only time he ever went to Tony Stark for help was once in like 40 years when Tony Stark. It was in the middle of Civil War where Tony Stark designed the Iron Spider armor for him, and then soon afterwards, they had a falling out, and Peter Parker, tossed his armor back in his face. I mean, for most of his career, Spider-Man has made his own stuff from start to finish. He's sewn his own costumes from scratch. He's made his own equipment from scratch. He hasn't used Tony Stark's magic costume making machine to whip him up a costume in like 30 minutes. That's not Spider-Man. And that's another thing. I mean, they make him so dependent on other people in these movies, in the MCU movies, that, I mean, a big part of who Spider-Man is his independence. The fact that he doesn't care what other heroes think about him, for the most part. I mean, he's very, very independent. He doesn't like teaming up with other people for the most part. So, Elliot MacArthur says, would you rather them keep Tom from Sony and put him in the Venomverse, or bring back a previous Spider-Man actor? Well, I think the other Spider-Man actors have aged out. I mean, I don't think, I mean, especially Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire is 40-some years old. And Andrew Garfield is probably what is he, in his late 30s now, mid 30s? I mean, he can't. Well, I mean, I guess if he played like Spider-Man when he's 25 or something, maybe he could do that. I don't know. I mean, I don't. Like, rather than keep Tom from Sony, again, I don't have a problem with Tom Holland as an actor. What I want is for them to completely ditch the writers and directors from that they've been using in the MCU. I want them to go back to basics with Spider-Man, regardless of who's playing him. I want them to have, if they're gonna have his supporting cast in there, the only actor I want back is J.K. Simmons. It's J. Jonah Jameson. That's the only one that I definitively want back. The others, the only thing I want from them is if they have Mary Jane in there, if they have MJ in there, make sure that MJ is Mary Jane Watson, not some fake third-rate version of MJ with a different name. Make sure that she's a hot redhead, okay, not some grubby-looking girl who they purposely dirty up, you know, for some stupid reason. It makes no sense. If you have Flash Thompson in there, have him be a muscular blowhard. You know, don't have him be a skinny nerd. Another thing that annoyed me about the MCU Spider-Man is and it sort of goes in with him not making his own gadgets. They made in the comic books, Peter Parker is basically a genius. He's the smartest guy, not only in his school, but you know, he's one of the smartest guys. Was he? Is he in the top 10 smartest guys in the MCU? I mean, the guy's brilliant. He's a genius. There you go. Yeah. ERTs. Yeah. Keep Holland. Rewrite the story. That's what I'm saying. I mean, the story and the directing is maybe not even the directing, unless the director had a role in writing the story. The writing is what has let the MCU Spider-Man down. At least in the standalone movies. I mean, he needs to, in order for him to be Spider-Man, it's not just a costume. It's not just having a young guy wearing Spider-Man costume. That doesn't make Spider-Man. He has to have the basic elements of the character for him to be a good Spider-Man. He has to be Spider-Man because of the death of Uncle Ben, and it has to be obvious. Okay, you can't replace Uncle Ben with some other character. Once you do that, that's no longer Spider-Man. He has to design and make his own gadgets from his own genius. He can't be dependent on someone else and someone else's genius to make his stuff for him. Once you do that, once you denigrate Peter Parker's genius, he's no longer Peter Parker. He's no longer Spider-Man. He has to have his spider sense. You can't have a whole Spider-Man movie where Spider-Man is getting, you know, punched in the back of the head by thugs and being surprised by everyone from his Aunt May to his fat best friend. You know, I mean that's his major. That's one of his major abilities. You might as well make a Spider-Man movie where he can't climb walls. That's how much sense it makes. Once you do stupid stuff like that, he's no longer Spider-Man. So yeah, rip Uncle Ben, R.I.P. I miss Uncle Ben. Uncle Ben, why? Why, Uncle Ben? Why? So yeah. So I hope that Sony brings all those elements back. And if they tie it in with the Venom verse, I mean, that'd be awesome. I hope they do. That'd be awesome. I would love to see Tom Holland fighting against I can't even remember his name. The guy who played Venom. And who's the I'm getting old. I can't remember anyone's name now. The guy who played Cassidy from the end of Venom. Carnage. Woody Harrelson. I would love to see a movie with Tom Holland, Woody Harrelson, and the other guy. That'd be great. So, Tom Hardy. Yeah, Tom Hardy. Thanks, ERT. You got his last name, but it's yes, Tom Hardy. Yeah, that'd be cool. So, and if they brought in like new actors to play MJ, and you know, they brought in Yeah, and I want an old Aunt May. I don't want a hot Aunt May. It's too creepy. It's weird. I don't know. You know, okay. Here's the thing. When you find Aunt May more desirable than Mary Jane or MJ, there's a problem with your Spider-Man. Okay, that's a big problem. Hey, the great Skidimus is here. How you doing? I haven't seen you here before, but welcome. Glad you're here. Hope you're able to give the video a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. That'd be awesome. And everyone, please share the video out. Let people know that I'm drawing. Oh, Marisa Tomei is old. Come on, ERTs. You know, as everyone else knows, Marisa Tomei. You can say she's old because she's, what, 51? But she's hot as heck. Okay? She looks like she's 38. So, you can't have Aunt May look that hot. No. That's wrong. That's just wrong. She's not pushing 60. If she's pushing 60, she and Christy Brinkley have to be the hottest 60-year-olds around. I think she's like 50. Maybe she's 52. I don't know. I don't keep track of her, but yeah. The great. Oh, she's 53. Okay. Well, she looks really good for 54. She looks really good. The great Skidimus says Aunt May is supposed to be in like her late 70s. Yeah. I mean, I think when the first issue of Spider-Man came out, she and Uncle Ben were supposed to be in their late 60s, I think. Maybe early 70s. It's been 10 years in Marvel time, in the comics. So she should be, late 70s. She should be like 78 or something, 79, if not 80. So, she was born in 1964. Okay. Oh, she's 4 years older than you. Yeah, so she's old, right? Yeah. But they need to. I'm hoping that if when Sony starts making Spider-Man movies again, ideally they'll do it soon so that Tom Holland can continue being Spider-Man just with different and better writers. But two, even if they wait and they choose someone else to play Spider-Man, like a new actor, what I hope and what they need to do is to stay faithful to the source material. And when I say stay faithful to the source material, I don't mean a lot of the garbage that's been being pumped out of Marvel the past 8 years or so. I mean, a lot. I mean, Marvel. I'm talking about the classic stuff from, say, the 1960s to the early 2000s, except for One More Day. Do not do One More Day. Do not do that horrible storyline. That was garbage. I would say everything before One More Day is good Spider-Man. But One More Day destroyed that character within the comics, unfortunately. Thanks, Joe Quesada. We appreciate that. Not really. Joshua Hughes says, I hope they at least finish the MCU Spider-Man trilogy. I don't want another 2-3 Spider-Man trilogy. I think I heard that they are contractually obligated to make 2 more MCU Spidey movies. Are they, or are they obligated to have Tom Holland as Spider-Man? I'm not quite sure, Joshua. So, yeah, I think at least as far as I know, that stuff may be up in the air. I don't know. So, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I mean, part of what made me love Iron Man and Captain America and the Winter Soldier was the fact that they stayed really, surprisingly, refreshingly close to the source material. I mean, they changed the war, from the Vietnam War to the Afghanistan War with Tony Stark. But other than that, it was the same basic premise. I mean, he gets captured by the enemy, and he designs armor. Well, they try to force him to make a weapon for them because they know he's a famous weapon maker, and he uses that time when he's captured to design a pseudo armor with the help of a fellow prisoner to create his Iron Man armor. Then once he creates the armor, he lays hell on his captors, kills them all, and escapes. That was awesome. I was so happy when that movie came out. I was just like, yes, they finally did a superhero movie. Well, they've done superhero movies right before, but I was really, really happy that they had the balls to do that. I don't think they would make that same Iron Man movie today. They're so focused on being politically correct and on faux diversity and trying to check off various boxes for whatever stupid reasons they have. They would never show Iron Man killing terrorists, obviously Muslim terrorists, and murdering them, going out of his way to fly across the world to mow down terrorists. But that was awesome when he did that in the original Iron Man. I was cheering in the theater. I was like, yeah. But that's sort of. I guess is it patriotism, or did he do it just because he was mad because he was they were using his technology for whatever reason? They wouldn't do that today. Yeah, Grace Skiddamus says I think he was mad. Yeah, he was mad because he saw the news reports of them brutalizing the people of that country. But but even so, they wouldn't show him doing that nowadays. In the MCU, again, I think before they were hungry. And they were willing to take chances and do cool stuff like that. There's the same thing with Captain America: The Winter Soldier. That was a fantastic movie. And to this day, I still think it's the best movie that the MCU has put out. But the reason why it was so good was because they stayed really close to the source material, the original Winter Soldier story. It wasn't 100% the same, but it was close enough. The basic beats were the same for the most part. So I was very happy with it, and I think the key to Marvel or Marvel succeeding or Sony with Spider-Man, once that's Spider-Man again, to Spider-Man succeeding is for them to stay close to the source material. There's a reason why these characters have lasted for 40 years or more and are known worldwide and beloved worldwide. It's because people like their stories. People like the original stories. People like the fact that Iron Man, after he was captured and brutalized, killed America's enemies and escaped, and then became a force for good. People love the fact that Captain America, was willing to fight for Bucky and help sort of bring him back from the brink. That sort of stuff is cool. But I think people love this whole story of Spider-Man. But once you start screwing with a lot of the basic elements of these characters, they're no longer the characters. So I think I better just do general. Before I start focusing on details, I gotta make sure I have the general positioning of his facial features. Because that's the one mistake I always make. I always start getting obsessed with the small niddly details, and then I lose a force for the trees. It's like, oh, this tree is so nice. It's like, I gotta make sure it's planted just perfectly. Oh, it's in the perfect position. And then I zoom out and see the whole forest. It's like, I ruined it. Alright, let me see if I can't salvage this. Can I salvage this? I don't know. I do not know. Tom Holland's got a good face. He's an interesting looking guy. Man. He's a man. He's like, what is he, 22 now? He's not a kid. But I gotta. Alright, messed up with his nose. Made it too short. That's what happens when I talk too much. Eight o'clock, man. Alright. Let's see. Great Skidimus says, Skidimus? says, they need to stick with the source material and not be so politically correct. Tom Holland is, 23. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, no, I agree. I think political correctness is I think it's poisonous. I think it's corrosive to society. Because, political correctness is not, one, it's not correct, and two, it's not honest. Political correctness is basically lying in order to win people's favor. That's why they call it politically correct instead of just correct. If it was just correct, they would just say it's correct. Political correctness is something that politicians do in order to win the favor of people, so they'll vote for them. So they'll get on their side. I mean, and basically, it's basically lying. You know, it's saying, telling people what they want to hear rather than the truth. So I'm not a fan of political correctness. And political correctness is not being polite. It's actually lying. Okay, I won't say it's lying, but it's not being completely honest. It's okay, I see what I'm doing wrong. My chin. The chin is off. His chin too big. I made his chin too big. Let's see. Elliot MacArthur says, and the director John Watts is not directing the next two. That's okay. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not that familiar with him, so. mean, to be honest, I would love to see Jon Favreau direct another Marvel movie. I think the only Marvel movie he directed was the original Iron Man, but he did such a great job with that. I know it's a lot of work. I don't know if he's interested in taking up that much responsibility again for a major movie, especially now. I mean, before he was. I mean, it wouldn't be nearly as there'd be a lot more pressure on him now, directing a Marvel film than it was back in 2008 or 2007 when he directed Iron Man. But I don't know. I think he's proven that he can do a really good job. So it'd be cool. It'd be cool to see what he could do. Mm. It's drawing a lot of muscle lines that I'll probably end up erasing at the end, but they sort of help give form to his face, and it helps me to better have a get a better grasp of what he's supposed to look like. So Yeah, this pencil is much better. Much better. Rather, this lead. This lead is much better. Lady Celtic Moose says, sorry, washing dishes after supper. What are you sorry for? Glad you're here. I'm glad you show up at all. Lady Celtic Moon, you're under no obligation to spend time with me, but you do, and I appreciate any time you can spare. So, thank you very much. Same with everyone else. For those of you who don't know, Drawn and Quartered Fan Edition is tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's in about, I guess, in about an hour and a half. So if you are free, I invite all of you to show up and check it out. Drawn and Quartered is a weekly competition where artists go head to head with each other to draw a pre-chosen subject, and they have 2 hours to do it. And then at the end, the viewers vote the winner. So they have the Pro Edition on Wednesdays, which was yesterday, and those are between pro comic book artists, and then the Fan Edition is today. And the winner of the Fan Edition then moves on to the Pro Edition the following week. So, for those of you who didn't know, not sure what the subject is tonight for the Fan Edition though. But I'm sure it'll be good. Sure it'll be fun. Actually, Tom Holland probably would have made a good Tintin if they ever made a live-action version of it. I know they haven't. He's supposed to be playing young Nathan Drake from the Uncharted series, but I think that's kind of dumb. I don't know anyone who wants to see a movie about young Nathan Drake. They want to see a movie with the current version, with the adult version of the character. So I guess the idea is that they're hoping that he'll grow into the part to play that character, but I don't see him as that character at all. Especially after seeing what Nathan Fillion did with the character in that live action fan film from how long ago was that? Was that 6 months ago? Was that a year ago? I can't remember. But if you haven't already, just look up Nathan Fillion and Uncharted on YouTube. And he did a fantastic job with that character. Sharpening my pencil. Sharpening my pencil. One person's left in the chat. That's cool. I'm having fun drawing this. That's alright. He has a good face. So I'm gonna continue drawing Tom Holland. Even if everybody leaves the chat, that's cool. Anyone who shows up is more than welcome. And I'm thankful for each and every one who takes 5 seconds out of their day to watch me draw. I appreciate it. So, if you're watching this at some point and you're enjoying it, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you would, please subscribe to my channel. I would greatly appreciate that. And even share it out if you could. That'd be a big help to the channel as well. But I need the practice of drawing and training my eye, so I'm going to be drawing regardless of how many people are actually watching this live. So and if you do draw, or if you don't draw, I highly recommend drawing as a hobby. It's extremely relaxing and probably therapeutic in some way. I ain't no head shrink, but I find it extremely relaxing for me. So and it's a cheap hobby. All you need is a paper and pencil. And time. So if you can afford a paper, pencil, and some time, you may want to pick up drawing. Getting graphite all over my hand here. Oh, all right. Dark Knight Returns. Nighthawk Warrior says, "Who is that guy you're drawing? Old Man Steve." See, hold on. Let me get back here. Sorry, I apologize. I've been focused on drawing. I haven't been paying attention to the chat. Probably already left. It's only been a few minutes. Old Man Steven Seagal looks like he's staring. Steven Seagal looks like he's staring at your Tom Holland. It's actually pretty funny and cool. That's good. Well, thanks. I'm glad you like it. I'm glad it's giving you a chuckle. Yeah, I'm trying to. I put a lot of extra lines on his face while I'm drawing, so I can have a good idea of how the muscles on his face look and how they're working. A lot of them I'll end up either erasing or de-emphasizing, so he looks a little linier than he probably should right now. And I think as I put more shadows into him, he'll look more like Tom Holland, because right now it looks like he has sort of chin fuzz, like he has a little goatee going on, and he doesn't. But it's just part of the shadow. So he's just it's in the he's still in the artistic oven. He's still being made. So, but thanks, Nighthawk Warrior. I appreciate your comments. It's getting there. It's getting there. But this is I'm glad I was finally able to find a good picture of him. When I say a good picture, I mean when I was talking about in terms of looking good, but in terms of good for drawing. For me, a good portrait, a good photograph to draw portraits from is one that has a good range of different shading, a good range of what's the word I'm looking for? Good range of values in the lighting. So if it's too flat in terms of the lighting, there's no shadows, that's not a good. I don't consider that a good image to draw from, because it ends up looking boring, too flat, whatever. So, but this one's pretty good. I just need to do it justice. That's always my problem, doing these photographs justice and trying to get a good facsimile of the person I'm trying to draw. Practicing, and hopefully I will improve with time and get better at it. I can see some improvement over time, but usually it's over a long period of time. The main improvement I usually see is when I've stopped drawing for a while. My edge starts to get dull, and then when I get back into it, into sketching or doing portraits, then I can see improvement from my sort of crappy, out of shape drawing to getting it back to sort of in shape drawing. That makes sense. Probably not. I can see the difference between when I'm out of practice and then when I get back into practice. There's a definite difference there from that point on, not from the point of where I'm out of practice and then it improves back to the status quo. That makes sense? Again, I'm probably not explaining it well, but Hmm. All right. All right. Let's see. Hmm. That was okay. Well, I think this is a good place to stop for now. I'm gonna take a break, and I'll come back, finish drawing this after drawing in quarter tonight, which is again on Chester Busby's channel, uh, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, check it out if you would. Take a look, and come back to this channel afterwards. It should end around 12:30, and continue watching. Where I'll finish this drawing of Tom Holland that I started. So thanks everyone for hanging out with me, spend time. I appreciate it, and hope you enjoyed it a little. And again, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Please hit the like button, give this video a thumbs up, and hit the bell for notifications of future videos. So again, I will be back here later on tonight to finish this drawing. So again, stay tuned and look for the notifications. Okay? You guys take care. Talk to you soon. Bye.